Ravli, thank you. I have a very serious confession for you. Unfortunately, this morning, my printer stopped working. I must admit, I was quite nervous about losing the speech. So thanks to Blinkit, I have a copy in my left pocket, my right pocket, and right here. And now, I think I'm finally ready for the speech. Good morning, Mr. Bharatram, sir. Vasvi ma'am, Radhika ma'am, Manika ma'am, heads of school, teachers, parents, grandparents, students, but most importantly, the batch of 2025. It's got such a nice ring to it, 2025. So when it came down to it, I treated this speech like my pre-boards. Last minute, uncertain about what I was going to write, but with a strong ho jayega attitude. You see, all the speeches I've written before this, whether for class rep, junior council, or senior council, I wrote the night before, because I knew what I was going to say. The job was clearly outlined, and I just had to pitch myself. But we're graduating for the first time. I don't know that much about it, and probably not more than any of you sitting here today. But here I am, going to try and offer you my worldly perspective for that 6th grade Agastya who sat there year after year, listening and all. And okay, I admit, to try and go viral on YouTube. At the start of every exam season, we would often go over certain concepts or questions and judge by our teachers' reactions if they're in the paper or not. So much so that there's a prediction on our batch group every night before the literature paper just for us to get it all wrong. You might think it stems from the fact that we're all desperate teenagers trying to finesse our way into college, but I think there's a strong sense of comfort in knowing what lies ahead. The same way knowing the questions would guarantee a good score, perhaps knowing what we want to do today will determine our tomorrow. 20 minutes from now, we're all going to be on the stage, throw our stoles in the air, go meet our parents, and post pictures to that same Coldplay song because we couldn't get tickets, and that feeling of graduating will be unmatched. Of course, that's until the euphoria fades, and we realize the boards are less than 20 days away, and we still haven't touched 60 in physics. Or maybe that's just me. And I know that the idea is a little trite for graduation ceremonies, but it's only trite because it's true. So, I wouldn't be true to myself if I hadn't started the speech in true MUN fashion with a bit of research. Graduation or commencement comes from the French word commencer, which means to start. Now, that's ironic because here we are celebrating the end of 14 years of school. So, that begs the question, is it the anticlimactic end of it all, or the start of the first day of the rest of our lives? The answer lies in analyzing our entire high school experience. And since none of us know what lies ahead, let's go to the start of the play, that's our school lives, in true Macbeth fashion. So, Act 1, Scene 1. The setting was junior school. Don't forget, that's a key word. 4th July 2016. After 6 years of desperately trying to get off the waitlist, I was finally a student at the highly prestigious Shri school. As a deferred college applicant myself now, I sympathize with my then 9-year-old self. I still remember what my mom said. You're going to the jungle now. I was confused. I thought she was exaggerating, but when I entered, everybody knew double-digit multiplication and long division. To make things even more difficult for me, there was an unspoken hierarchy where your status depended on one of two things. 1, your football skills. 2, the contents of your tiffin box. It took 2 minutes for me to realize that my mother's a dentist, so the tiffin box avenue was a dead end. It took 2 more weeks for me to learn long division, and 2 more weeks for me to realize that I was never going to be good at football. To make matters worse, on my 3rd day, I got lost somewhere along the corridors from Champak sir's music room to Shahana ma'am's drama room, and I cried in front of the entire class 4F. Now, under the veil of mental health awareness, if a man sheds a tear today, society understands. But back then, having a full-blown breakdown in a room full of 9-year-olds, it was really embarrassing. Class 4F, I'm so sorry. But over time, just as a new specimen, I had to adapt to my new habitat in this jungle. I discovered that Pravesh Vartika was the elevated Shri version of nursery. I had my first encounter with a local monopoly, courtesy of CCD coupons. I learned that the things you love the most can be taken away, such as the infamous Zabomb ban. Most importantly, I accepted that samosas and rajma chawal were a way of life. All this is to say, I understood, adapted, and owned the Shri way. Shriram was nothing like I had imagined, but it was better. Perfectly imperfect in a way that letting go is just too hard now. So with a trip to Jim Corbett and an overly emotional moving on ceremony, junior school was over before we knew it. It was now time to cross the bridge. Not the one connecting us from the 3rd grade corridor to senior school, but the one that transforms us from carefree children to stressed teenagers. A lot of things had changed. Our teachers kept telling us, you're going from being the senior most class in junior school to the junior most class in senior school. What that meant, we had no idea. Before that, the intellectuals of our grade had to make very important choices. Some chose Spanish to drop phrases like te amo into casual conversations hoping to impress a girl. Others picked French, not for the love of the language, but because saying bonjour made them feel premium, even if they were just having popcorn from the canteen. And then, there were the brave souls who chose Sanskrit, swearing it was all about connecting with our Sanskriti, but secretly trying to impress the teachers. For those of you who know me, you know I'm a firm believer in going for every opportunity. Which is why, when we entered middle school, I decided to go for two of the most prestigious roles that I could. First, as form rep, attempting to represent the collective chaos of this batch with a straight face. But secondly, and more importantly, I took on the highly coveted role of substitution monitor. Now, before you laugh, this involved the intricate art of cross-referencing the absent teacher with their block and delivering a sacred announcement, "Bhai, aaj PE substitution hai." It was a hero's job. So, rather than a toxically competitive environment, Shriram was over-generous with the opportunities. So much so, that our 6th grade form morning rendition of Annie featured not one, not two, but 3 Annies and 10 orphans. My favorite memory from middle school is the outstation trip. I don't know what I miss more, the water fight at that stream or the spiders in the bathroom. The boy who got lost in the corridors in junior school was finding his way. It was in 6A where I met and reconnected with some of my closest friends, Ashman, Riditya, Ayan, Rohan, Sameer, Rehan, Neev and Anirudh. We started off as friends, but you've become more like my family, shaping my journey with laughter, support, and memories I'll cherish forever. It's safe to say that my school life wouldn't have been the same without you. It was in 2020, yes, 5 years ago when we received the life-altering email, school is shut for 2 weeks. In those 2 years, some of us discovered new hobbies, others grinded Fortnite like a full-time job, you know who you are. But most importantly, we gave our exams with the utmost honesty and integrity possible. Of course, it's entirely coincidental that the Spanish average dropped from 90% when the test was online to 78 the next year. Whether it was those 10-minute class teacher check-ins in the morning, or the mentoring periods where our cameras were perpetually off, our teachers in school truly became a pillar of support during an incredibly difficult time. Oh, and speaking of difficult time, I also learned that there was an 8B WhatsApp group without me. Now, before you feel bad for me, I only found out 3 years later, so I'm over it. Our transition to senior school was online. We were officially in the ICSE board. I went from my group 3 being drums, where I learned nothing, to economic applications where there was too much to learn. But apart from this, not much changed. In grade 9, 10 children attending the meeting was unheard of. But in grade 10, when school reopened, 10 children absent was unheard of. There was, however, a clear disconnect with our batch. Most of us had isolated ourselves within our own friend groups, and I think many of us, including myself, felt alone. So I decided to change my seat, from the first row all the way to the back. I thought I needed to prove to people that I wasn't paying attention because it wasn't cool to care. Later that year, I won my first micro-election as class rep. In those same few months, I got invited to my first party. My social life grew exponentially, and my life inevitably changed. It might even be a series of those small changes that led to me standing here today, but it made me think, was my social experiment of changing my seat a success or a failure? I had gotten what I wanted, but something didn't feel right. I felt like I'd lost myself, despite being surrounded by more people than ever before. Looking back now, I realized it wasn't a failed experiment, and it taught me something important. If you're doing something, then do it for the right reasons, not just to fit in or meet expectations. This incident had me questioning whether society placed too much importance on the wrong things. But I can tell you now that I was limited by my own inhibitions, and I cared too much what people thought of me, and that held me back from truly embracing who I was and what I wanted to become. So this shift in perspective changed my approach to everything that followed. The board exams were coming close, and I decided, after constant reminders from my mom, it was time to get serious. But I wasn't the only one feeling this pressure. Some of my favorite memories are from our de-stress trip at Camp Abaneri, where the whole grade united to play Ultimate Frisbee and enjoy some evening Maggie. We cleared the boards with flying colors that nobody expected, and now we were at another important stage in our lives. We had to choose between balancing our respect in society, pursuing our passions, or a world of opportunity. Humanities, science, or commerce. I chose commerce because physics felt too daunting, only to switch back to physics at the last moment, forgetting why I didn't take it in the first place. The last 2 years flew by. From the bombshell of our 11th midterms to, I guess some things never change. As time passed, it was our turn to plan our seniors' graduation. It's ironic how life comes in full circle, and now our juniors are planning, or at least attempting to plan, the same for us. Yet, as a batch, we came together and pulled off the best grad. Then came the senior council elections. Becoming head boy had been a dream of mine for as long as I could remember. Not getting the post in junior school taught me more than achieving it ever could have. I wasn't ready back then, and maybe there's a reason I didn't get it. So when the previous head of council handed me the flag last year, it felt heavy in my hands, a mix of uneasiness and responsibility weighing down on my shoulders. I suppose that's natural because it's something I was carrying, but with it came expectations. Not just the expectations that everyone had of me, but the unfair expectations I placed on myself. You see, I idolized every head boy before me. Every year I sat in the audience, marveling at their presence, their words, and their impact. So when I finally stepped into the role myself, I questioned, could I ever live up to that legacy? Could I inspire a 12-year-old the same way that those leaders inspired me? To be honest with you, even now I feel a subconscious tendency to emulate what they spoke about. Because to me, they were perfect in every sense of the word, and I know that I'm not. But that's the beauty of this role. It transforms you for the better. There's something oddly ironic and humorously humbling about correcting a kid for the wrong uniform when I begged them for a vote just the day before. Or delivering speech after speech on this podium, forming new bonds with all of you, and solving this community's problems. Every day in this role taught me something new, and it allowed me to shape my own leadership style, one I could truly own, and one I was proud of. So for the trust that all of you placed in me, I'll forever be grateful. So writing this speech, I thought back on what I wished all those head boys had said to that middle schooler listening in on their speeches. So for any junior watching, I'm scared for you. The world is a dynamic place and everyone looks at life as a zero-sum game with winners and losers. You're going to be told that every choice you make impacts your future. But when that narrative presses down upon you, remember this. It's okay to make your own path, your own mistakes, and carve out your own path. Because no matter how imperfect it may seem, it's your path. So in the words of Kanye, everything I'm not makes me everything I am. What that means is, it's a collection of all your errors that actually make you who you are, not necessarily your successes, because your failures teach you more than that. So, go on your own path. And now, if the people who care about you tell you that you're wrong, they might be right. In that case, reflect on the path you chose. If you still feel you're right, then continue to follow it anyways, because you never know what's at the end. Before we knew it, we were in senior year. We'd experienced our last first day of school, our last prom morning, the last trip, the last school lunch, our last day, the last exams, and finally, we're all here now. Graduation or commencement, Act 5, Scene 8 if you will. Is the play over? After looking back at all these years, we're now equipped to answer the question that I posed in the start. Is it the anticlimactic end of it all, or the start of the first day of the rest of our lives? You see, experience is like a sword. It can either hurt you or benefit you, depending on whether you choose to hold it by the handle or the blade. But if you decide to hold it by the handle, we can control which direction that we go in. We're all here for a reason, and I'd like to start with the school is made up of many layers, so I'd like to start with the walls. Thank you to all the दीदीज and भैयास. लंच हॉल से लेके बसेस तक आपके बिना हमारा कुछ नहीं होता और आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. The foundation. To all the teachers who taught me, and to all those whose classes I did not have the honor of being in, thank you for listening to our excuses, humbling us, bettering us, but most importantly, loving us. We know that our graduation hurts you the most because your most talented batch is leaving. To our families, here's to all the grandparents who took care of us when our parents got sick of us. To all the over-supportive chachis and buas who took flights to be here. Siblings, guardians, moms and dads, thank you all for your sacrifice and hard work that got us to this point. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and this is just as much of your victory as it is ours. We love you. To my own family, to the brother I never had, Abhinav. Whether it's your unjustified refusal to come to the park the night before an exam, or your unparalleled ability to annoy me like no one else, it's safe to say that I'll miss you the most for reasons I'm still trying to figure out. To my best friend and my #1 supporter, Nano. It's scary how much faith you have in me. I'll always enjoy how we consider ourselves better than the BCCI selection committee. And Nani, thank you not for the constant criticism of Nanu and my cricket opinions, but for saving me in the face of mom's scoldings. Dadi, सारी कहानियों के लिए thank you. मैं जानता हूँ कि आपको लगता है कि मैं सुनता नहीं, but I promise I'm listening to each lesson. Dadu, I know how badly you wanted this for me, and it's crazy that you can't be here to see it. But I'll always miss our chess games and all your love and support. To the person who knows I've had a bad day before I say anything, Mom, I still find it crazy how you come home every day for a bit just to see me in the middle, stay awake as late as me just to spend time with me, listen to my 101 problems with life, and you do it all with a smile on your face. Words can't express how thankful I am, and I love you the most. To the person I have my most disagreements with, Papa, I've seen you work late at night so that we don't have to, and I've seen you wake up early every day so that we don't have to, and you do it all without complaining. Though somehow, I don't know how, but you still have time to play golf every single day. You're my superhero, my moral compass, and my source of inspiration. So now that I've said that, please continue to fund my many ventures. Now, for those of you who don't know, my dad believes that everything is predestined. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation where he said, "Sab kuch likha hua hai." So I said, what's the point of graduating into the open world if our path is predefined? He explained that it's an illusion of free will because we don't know what's going to happen next. Now that scared me, not because my entire perception of the universe was challenged, or not because nothing was in our control, but because I'd written this speech about free will and I'd run out of content. So here's my 2-bit at explaining how the universe works. I don't think we follow a predefined path and then call it destiny, but we make our own fortunes and then call it fate. Because what better excuse do we have to choose a path than insist it's our destiny? But I know we'll be fine. From cricketers to artists to future physicists, doctors, hedge fund managers, entrepreneurs, engineers, this batch has it all. And I know there's no other group of people who could have made my school life as complete as this. So no matter where we are in the world, text me about your lives, call me when you need a friend, and send me a reel or two, because I want to know about it all. We're connected by Shri for the rest of our lives, whether you like it or not, and that's not an advertisement to join the alumni group. Shri Ravli, you gave me the honor of a lifetime when you trusted me to be your head boy. So if I could leave you with anything, it would be this. Choose to be the most authentic version of yourself, because in a world where they say you can choose to be anything, that's everything. This is Agastya Bassi, your head boy for the year 2024-2025. Signing off.